Good evening and welcome to the December 14th regular session meeting of the City Council. If you are with us tonight, and we're glad that you are, and would like to address Council, please register with staff in the lobby. Please indicate item I for matters germane to the City Council if the item you wish to speak to is not on the agenda. On our podium, we have a light system. After you give your name and address, the green light will appear. At the end of 2 minutes, the yellow, and at the end of 3, the red light, and we ask that you promptly then take your seat. The City Code identifies the procedure for citizen participation regarding items on tonight's council agenda and provides the opportunity for citizens to address City Council on matters that are germane to the business of council. Matters that are germane to the business of council means matters that the City Council by law is empowered to act upon. This does not include announcements that are personal to you, your business, or your organization, including campaign information. Copies of the city ordinance regarding citizen participation can be found at the desk in the lobby. If you intend to address council this evening, please pick up and review a copy of that ordinance. We also ask at this time if you would please silence your phones. Prior to beginning the business portion of our meeting, we're going to ask Vice Mayor Cherry to provide an invocation to the City Council. Afterwards, Councilman Harris will lead us in the pledge. It is the practice of the council members to stand for its invocation and pledge of allegiance. Those who also wish to stand are welcome, but are under no obligation to do so.
Good evening. Father God, we thank you that you have allowed us to make it to this last meeting of this council for 2021. We traveled through Zoom and made it back to be together again tonight. We invite your presence in our meeting tonight. Help us to conduct the business of our city with clarity, transparency, decency, order, and respect one for another. Thank you for allowing us to serve with dignity the residents of our great city, Newport News. Amen.
Amen. Yes, will you please join me in reciting the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are now at public hearings. Page 4, item E1, is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a lease of and 2 lease agreements in between the City of Newport News, Virginia and Hampton Roads Community Action Program Incorporated for use of the office, meeting, and program space at 3 separate locations throughout the city. The lease agreements will allow the organization to continue to use office space, meeting space, and program space at the Courthouse Way Community Center, the Downing Gross Cultural Arts Center, and the Clark Center. The current 5-year lease agreement expires on 31 December of this year. The proposed lease agreement would extend the Hampton Roads Community Action Program facility usage for a 5-year period through December the 31st of 2026. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 41, item E2 is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute amendment number 4 to the deed of lease by and between the City of Newport News, Virginia and James River Fishing Pier Incorporated. In order to promote additional investment in facility improvements by the fishing pier operator, the city will be issuing a request for proposals during the next calendar year to select a fishing pier operator. This will enable a long-term lease to be entered into with the operator selected through the RFP process. Amendment number 4 provides for a one-year lease extension with the current operator, James River Fishing Pier Incorporated, to continue administering the fishing pier and associated facilities and allow the RFP process to take place. All terms and conditions of the original lease as amended will remain in effect during the lease extension. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We now need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Move adoption. Second.
Moved in, is there a second?
I did.
Oh, moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 49, item E3 is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing vacation of portions of the public right-of-way along 20th Street and Hampton Avenue in the city of Newport News, Virginia. This will facilitate partial development located at 520 21st Street in support of the significant investment and job creation of the Endowell project. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Move adoption. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 55, item E4 is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing change of zoning CZ 2021-0004 to the Economic Development Authority of the City of Newport News and Newport News Redevelopment and Housing Authority from R8 high-density multifamily dwelling to M1 light industrial with proffers for parcels totaling 9.45 acres located at 520 21st Street and 2200 Terminal Avenue. The proposed change of zoning with proffers will allow for the property to be developed as an indoor manufacturing and assembly facility. The proposed change of zoning is consistent with the One City, One Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan land use map and key strategies in the Marshall Ridley Choice Neighborhood Transformation Plan to increase employment opportunities in the Southeast community. On November the 3rd of this year, the City Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of this request. The city manager also recommends approval. Are there any speakers? Okay, for questions only, we have Matt Johnson. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 85, item E5 is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the conveyance of city-owned property located at 1211 36th Street to Pamela M. Jacobs. The 25 by 100-foot parcel is located immediately adjacent to Ms. Jacobs' property at 1213 36th Street. The 1,396 square foot drainage easement will be retained by the city over a portion of the parcel, and a 116 square foot drainage easement will be dedicated to the city by Ms. Jacobs on her adjacent property. The purchase price of the lot is $1,890, which represents the assessed value of the parcel, less the value of the drainage easement to be retained by the city. The potential sale has been circulated for interdepartmental review, to which no objections to the conveyance was noted. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 90, item E6 is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a deed of easement by and between the City of Newport News, Virginia and Virginia Electric and Power Company, Dominion Energy, Virginia, for a utility easement across city-owned property located at 500B Bland Boulevard. In order to facilitate the construction of the city's Newport News Transportation Center at Bland Boulevard, it is necessary to create a power transmission loop to provide a redundant electrical feed for power supply reliability purposes. The proposed easement will permit the underground facilities construction required to be installed on city property at 500B Bland Boulevard. City Council received and opened one bid for the easement at the November 23rd meeting. The successful bidder was Virginia Electric Power. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Move adoption. Second.
It's moved and a second to adopt the ordinance. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 100, item E7, is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute the Newport News Seafood Industrial Park lease of office space located at 34 Jefferson Avenue, Newport News, Virginia, by and between the City of Newport News and Fairlead Boatworks Incorporated. The requested lease is to continue to provide Fairlead use of office space at 34 Jefferson Avenue. The current lease will expire the 31st of this month. The initial term of the new lease will be from January 1, 2022 to December 31, 2022, with 2 additional one-year renewable options. The annual rental rate will be $44,336.55. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Move adoption.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to say, as we're looking at this, how much fairly the company has added value to the area on Jefferson, on the lower part of Jefferson Avenue. The buildings they have built there really help add a newer look to that area as we're looking at building out and having it as a seafood, improving as a seafood industrial park. And another benefit too, they have an employee who actually serves on the Hampton Roads Workforce Council, and they add a lot of information from the company to our board, as well as really going out in the community to Heritage High School, well, several of the high schools, but particularly in Heritage since it's close proximity to the area, to employ people. So they've employed several people in the area, so I just think they have been a great accent to Newport News.
Thank you. Any further comments? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 116, item E8, is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute amendment number 27 to a lease for a portion of the former Jackson School site by and between the city of Newport News, Virginia, and Huntington Ingalls Incorporated, also known as Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, for parking purposes. Huntington Ingalls Incorporated and its predecessors have leased the former Jackson parking site from the city for many years. Huntington Ingalls wishes to extend its lease terms for an additional one-year period from January 1, 2022 and terminating December 31, 2022. The lease extension incorporates an adjustment of 3% above the current rental rate, raising the annual rate to $177,703.59. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 122, item E9, is a request to approve an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the conveyance of city-owned property located at 2119 Wickham Avenue to Ricardo Investments, LLC. The potential sale has been circulated for interdepartmental review, to which no objections to the conveyance were noted. The purchase price of the 100 by 100-foot lot is assessed at a value of $21,000. The city manager recommends approval. There are no speakers. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Move it up.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
We are now at the consent agenda. Item F contains the following items: minutes of the work session of November the 23rd, minutes of the special meeting of the 23rd, minutes of the regular meeting of the 23rd of November. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items F1 through F3, all inclusive?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
We are now at other city council actions, page 179, item G1. Madam Manager.
Yes, the first item is a request to adopt an ordinance to amend and reordain City Code Chapter 2, Administration, Article 20, Office of Purchasing, and I recommend approval.
There are no speakers. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 192, item G2. Madam Manager.
Yes. This is a request to adopt an ordinance amending and reordaining City Code Chapter 31, Pensions and Retirement, and I recommend approval.
Okay, there are no speakers. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 232, item G3. Madam Manager.
It's a request to approve a resolution authorizing the formation of OTTH-1 LLC, Orcut TH40 LLC, and Orcut TH40 Development Corporation by the Newport News Redevelopment Housing Authority for the benefit of Orchid Townhomes, and I recommend approval.
Okay, I see there are two names, Raymond Suttle and Karen Wallace. Are they both for questions only, or do you? Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion or questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 241, item G4. Madam Manager.
Request to adopt an ordinance to approve and adopt the Newport News Waterworks Cross-Connection Control and Backflow Prevention Program Manual, and to amend and reordain City Code Chapter 42, Water Supply, Article 4, Cross-Connection Control and Backflow Prevention, and I recommend approval.
Okay, there are no speakers. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
We are now at appropriations, page 280, item H. Madam Manager.
Yes, we have two appropriations this evening. The first is a request to approve a resolution appropriating $15,750 in grant funds from Smart Beginnings Virginia Peninsula to the Newport News Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism's youth programs. And the second is a request to approve a resolution appropriating the reallocation of funds from the Newport News Public School Division's fiscal year 2018 and fiscal year 2019 capital projects appropriations to the Kiln Creek Elementary School HVAC project in the amount of $34,358, and I recommend approval of both appropriations.
Okay, is there a motion to approve items H1 and H2 for approval?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I'd like to say I'm very happy that we're receiving funds to help with our Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism for our youth programs. They do a great job at providing programs and activities for our children, so we want to thank Smart Beginnings for this generous monies that we're receiving. And also, I'm glad to see that we are honoring what the school board asked us to do, and that's to reallocate their funds back to them so that they could take care of the things that they need to take care of. So thank you, Madam Manager.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
We are now at citizens' comments that are germane to the business of council. First card I have is Pam Hall. Good evening.
We, the people of the Southeast community, are long overdue for improvements in the community. However, we are still against moving Huntington Middle School from 3401 Orchid Avenue to 2801 Orchid Avenue. We will not be silent as the renovated outdoor pool, which costs thousands of our taxpayer dollars, will be eradicated. How is that being a good steward of taxpayer dollars? In my opinion, your silence is complicity of your acceptance of an autocracy for the Southeast community, and that is not acceptable for those that elected you. 4 years ago, Mayor Price told the Huntington alumni that 3401 Orchid Avenue would no longer be a school, but a multi-purpose building. So what was known at that time that has now come to light? Thank you.
Janie Bazemore. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and city manager. Mr. Mayor, I'll let you slide tonight, and I'll talk to those who represent the Southeast community. We want to ask you to represent those who sent you to serve, and in that way, we want you to consider the wishes of our community members, the majority who say to leave Huntington at its location. For the last time in 2021, I want to say Huntington shall rise again, and it shall rise again at 3401 Orchid Avenue, because the majority of the Southeast community says so. Anything less is an injustice to our community. Say no to any plan that relocates Huntington. And despite our differences of opinions, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish each one of you a safe and happy holiday. Thank you for your time.
Rodney Hunter.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I've come tonight to first say that we are all concerned about our democracy being in peril. And I'm upset because Huntington High School is a treasure. The former Huntington High School is a treasure to this city, to each of us. I want to thank Pam Hall and Janie Bazemore for continuing to come to work with the school board and the council to try to say the community wants Huntington to stay where it is. Why I'm so disgusted with the process that I have seen in the times that I've come is that it seems like it's been an orchestrated effort to let the school go down in disarray. And then the members of the school board said, we can't let our children stay in a situation like this. But you let it get to that. Now that's what's disturbing. You let it go all the way down to people saying rats are in the school. That doesn't happen in other communities, but you let it happen in ours. And why I'm so disturbed is because the first part of my life, black people couldn't even sit on council. We had no representation. We were ignored. Now we have blacks on council, blacks that went to Huntington. And we're just saying, listen to the community. If you can persuade the community to move Huntington, then that's what democracy is all about. But if the community is dissatisfied, it just means that council members are taking the votes, doing what they want to do, and disrespecting the community. I just ask you to listen to us so there can be unity and peace, where there's a legacy of that school and what it means to each of us who went to Huntington and what it means to this city. So I just ask you to please do the right thing. And to me, don't let power corrupt, but continue to build strong communities. Our job is to listen to one another. Thank you.
Joseph Gurley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for the wonderful job that y'all doing and for taking the time to listen to us. And I believe that prayer is in order. We listen to y'all, and y'all listen to us, but we haven't got nowhere. And if I'd like to take 1 minute, if I may, and pray, because I believe we all can listen to God. Dear gracious and eternal, all-wise God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity and the chance and the people that you have on this council and every adult and every student that go to Huntington. We pray that your will be done. It's in your hand. You control the hearts of these people, and let us make the right decision for the students and everyone in the community for Southeastern and those that attend Huntington. In Jesus Christ's name, thank God. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are all the cards I have. We are now at new business. Madam Manager,
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Attorney.
Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, since we won't be back until January.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. I'd like to welcome SRO Matthew Golson, who's been here tonight watching over us. Thank you. I'd like to wish Councilman Dave Jenkins happy belated birthday, and I'd like to wish all of you a happy and safe holiday season.
Thank you.
That's it, sir.
Councilman Harris.
Yes, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays. Know it seemed like the year just started and we're already at the end of the year. And happy New Year to everyone. We reconvene in January. I want to wish all of our educators have a nice, relaxing, rejuvenating break, and all of our students stay safe, read, and prepare for the second half of the school year. And we will be giving out more information for our re-up school supply drive as we begin to start collecting donations. Some have already come in, and we'll be getting out more details in regards to our school supply collection in January as we prepare for the distribution on January 29th, I believe, which will be the last Saturday in January. So that's all I have. Once again, happy holidays. Many blessings to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Jenkins.
At the last council meeting, I had requested information on how groups in our city fighting gun violence would be able to apply for ARPA funds. And thank you, City Manager, for responding to that. It appears that at this point, we are not at the point of allowing people to make applications. And we have a number of priorities in our city. And we want to make sure that all of those priorities get the proper attention. The city received $66,794,246 in ARPA money. And I know that there were people who went to Washington to make sure that some of that money would go toward the prevention of gun violence. I understand we have a lot of priorities here in Newport News, but I believe that gun violence should be a high priority in our city. Like other members of council, I received word yesterday of the latest shooting incident in our city. And I think that COVID has only aggravated a problem that we've been fighting for a long time. I think that gun violence is time sensitive. You know, it's not one of those things we can wait 6 months or a year to figure out. It's something that if we can take action to prevent, we should do so sooner rather than later. And we can and we should take that action. So this evening, I would like to move that we direct the city manager to create a $200,000 fund to be established with an open application process to all organizations who may qualify for the prevention of gun violence, and that this program be established within the next 30 days. Do I have a second?
Moved in second. Any discussion? Only, go ahead.
I will speak. Councilman Jenkins, with all due respect, we had a work session today, and you could have brought this up at the work session, so we could have had a little more discussion about that. And you and I have talked independently about this, and I'm not sure why we keep having to do this over and over for the cameras. So for that reason, the Honorable, I'm not going to support it. If you want to bring it back to the work session, and let us all talk about it and discuss it and talk about where it's going, how it's going, and that sort of thing, and give our manager an opportunity to find some manageable way to deal with this. You said in 30 days. We're going out for Christmas, dude, this week. We won't be back to next year. So I respectfully, I'm going to have to push back, and I can't support you tonight.
Any other comments? The only comment I have is, I think, wasn't in the paper the governor gave $27 million for gun violence, and I would like to see how much of that is going to come to our city. And I know Delegate Price has also secured some funds, hopefully for the city, to see where those funds are going to go.
Yes, sir. We've been made aware of a number of funds, and we, as always, are trying to maximize outside dollars as much as we can to add to what we will be doing. We are working towards a gun violence prevention, youth and gang violence prevention program with some of the state dollars, and we're looking at also putting in some local dollars as well. But the state has come through with some money for the police department as well as some other agencies. But one of the things that we have deemed as important is to do that assessment that the state has given up to $25,000 to do. So we are currently working with CNU, and they're going to help us with that and come up with a study so that we have a better idea where those funds should be directed to make sure that they are impactful as well. So that's a process that we are currently going through, but we certainly, should council desire, can identify some dollars to go towards, and we plan on doing that as part of ARPA dollars as well.
And plus, the other thing is, I just want to add, Mr. Mayor, that, I think it was about 2012, we did $1 million for the what was the anti-gang initiative and everything, and that was
several years.
Instrumental, because we have not just been sitting around not watching or knowing what's going on in our communities to know about the gun violence. And we discussed this at a previous work session when Chief Drew came and talked about a grant that he had gotten. And so just along with my Councilwoman Scott, we had a work session. We need time to discuss. We need to do an assessment to see what we already have working. I know the summer jobs was a big part of it, but then came the COVID. And so to look at the mental health pieces, to really look at what we're doing instead of just making a rash decision in 30 days for something so serious. And so I wouldn't be able to support that tonight.
Any further discussion?
The reason why I went with it, I'm not for the 30 days, but I do believe we need to start taking some more consistent action and moving something forward in regards to some of the challenges that we're dealing with. Also, gun violence. We talk about mental health quite a bit, but I would like to see some action in the upcoming future in regards to some programming processes and how we can more engage our grassroots community and some of the programs that's going to help serve our citizens and our young people, because it is a lot going on, as has been stated, but to continue kicking the can down the road, which I feel sometimes happens when it comes to some initiatives, I feel we do need to do some. Not saying I agree with the 30 days. Yes, it's about to be a holiday break. However, in the near future, I think we need to take it back up at the beginning of the year.
I'd just like to say I feel like my colleagues over here, maybe on this side of the room, that I think it's an important issue and one that we just don't throw out one night at council. I mean, we need a written report, some of the data that's been shown so far, what are the things that other communities are doing. I mean, I think we need a measured report an attack on the issue and not just give it some money. You know, money doesn't solve everything. And I think it's a very serious issue and one that we need to take extremely carefully and extremely important that we do so, but not just a whole bunch of money to do what? I mean, where's the outline of where it would go? Where are the initiatives? Where are the goals? So I can't support it.
I'd just like to say thank you, Councilman Jenkins, for bringing this to light. I concur with my fellow council members. One of the things that we try to encourage each other that when we have issues to bring them up in our work session, and I'm one that's always asking for more information before any decision can be made on anything. So I'm asking you, if you have information, a solution or a strategic plan as to how you would like to see that $28,000 spent, that you could give that information to our city manager, and as they're looking at other ways to apply these opera dollars, that will be part of the conversation that we could add to all of the information.
And we are working on a comprehensive approach to address what you've raised. If there are some shorter-term options that we can do to move things forward more quickly, we will certainly come back to you with that. But I do think it's important we have an overall plan. And as you said, some goals, objectives, see where the needs are, and make sure that we're matching the dollars in the most impactful way that we can. But if there are some short-term things that we can do, we absolutely will bring those back, because there are a lot of organizations out there doing good work that could use some support.
I think we have to keep in mind also, Mr. Manager, that, Mr. Mayor, that the opera dollars are one time. And so whatever we come up with, it has to be sustained. So I think it's wise of us to take the time to look at what is out there already, to work with our police department, to work with other entities that have information that they can bring to the table so that we can make wise decisions about what we're going to do with those opera dollars as well. Thank you.
Just one more thing I would like to add. I know we mentioned a lot about giving money to programs, but we also, what I would love for us to look at is that giving money to programs, you know, we do it so much with the children, with our schools, with community organizations, but I'm just stressing, and I've mentioned it before, that we really have to, so much of this starts at the home. You know, some of the things that have happened in Norfolk, they started at the home. And so we have to really figure out what we can do as government to support the parents, the single parents who are raising children on their own, the situations with people who just don't have that family support. You know, what would make a child leave their home and take a gun to school? That is a serious thing. That is not just happening in a program, but that's happening in somebody's home. So I really stress the importance of that sometimes we can keep, you know, saying that schools need to do this, the police, but we forget to mention what we can do for at people's homes, any support we can do for that, to improve that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add, Councilman Jenkins, I do agree that at what time we do decide to distribute these funds to the community, that it goes to some of the smaller organizations who actually have their hands on the pulse of the community. And oftentimes, some of those smaller organizations, they're just not prepared as far as their paperwork or whatever. So I would encourage some of those organizations to connect with Elizabeth McCory, because she's really great at helping people organize to be prepared to receive some of the funds, so that most of us know some of those organizations who don't qualify, but they really deserve an opportunity to have some funding. So I will be working with Elizabeth McCoy, and if we could all kind of direct them to her, so that at which time the funds are available, that they will be able to participate.
Any further comments?
I would like to make a couple of comments if I could. Keep in mind, the measure that I'm proposing of $200,000 does not necessarily have to come out of ARPA funds. It could come out of any funds available to the city, whether that's from the state funds or whether that is from local funds in our budget. And the reason for that is to press for a sense of urgency, to take action sooner rather than later, because this is a problem that has waited for quite some time. When you look at other cities in our Commonwealth, they were considering the use of ARPA dollars 6 months ago. In many of those cities, like Roanoke and Richmond, you have organizations applying for those funds right now to take action to prevent gun violence. I don't want Newport News to be a city where 6 months or a year from now, we're still waiting to figure out what we're going to do with this money to make it available to a lot of these small organizations. You know, in the bigger scheme of things, $200,000 may seem like a lot of money to the average person, but in government, that's a very small amount of money. And what's amazing is that even with that small amount of money, a lot of these grassroots organizations that have been out there struggling with this issue for years have talked to me and said, if we could only get $10,000 next year, we could double our programming. These are organizations that work with kids, they work with young adults, and a lot of times it's kids and young adults who are most likely to be the victims of gun violence in our communities. They're the groups out there that are working to make sure that when one person shot, another person doesn't get shot in retaliation for that. And to deal with some of the issues related to gun violence. Many of these people have been not just activists, but people who've been victims of gun violence or have had members of their families who've been victims. And I know that there are lots of ways of bringing things up to this council. But I'll tell you, the only thing that I'm doing is trying to do the very best I can to bring things up in a way that we will take action on them. And if I thought there was a better way, I wouldn't be here. I don't like getting my name in the paper. I don't like being in front of cameras. You can look at me. I'm not the handsome guy in the room who likes to get his picture taken. I never have been. But as long as I sit on this council, I'm going to try to make things better in the city. And that's what this is all about. And for the record, before this meeting started, I did have a chance to talk to our city manager to see if this was practical, to see if this was even possible. And it is, if this council agrees to it.
And just for the record, I just want to make sure, we may have just gotten ARPA funds, but we've had our community support budget ever since I've been, well, even before I've gotten on council. So organizations have always, if they wanted to do the work, we've kept it open that they can apply for funding. So it's not just because we got this money that they can apply. We've had this open for years from our community support, which I think is well over, $2 or $3 million that we've had available for community organizations who wanted to do work in our city. So we've had this open.
Any further discussion or comments?
I'd like to just thank him for bringing it to our attention. I don't think that it has gone unnoticed, and I thank our city manager for taking the lead at seeing what we can do as a city. As the mayor said, we do have a youth gang and violence. We had that committee, and I remember we worked on that for a long time, and I would just like to see where we are with that and going forward, so that we can perhaps look at what Councilman Jenkins is talking about. We appreciate your service to the community, but we also we appreciate being able to have opportunity to have conversation around it. Thank you.
I'd just like to say one more thing. If you gave some of this money to one of these organizations, what would you say to them? In other words, would you tell them how to spend it, or would you tell them what objectives you'd like to have met, or how they're going to spend the money?
I believe that's normally covered under the application process, where they come to us and tell us how they would use that money to fight this problem. And it's part of the review process to make sure the money is spent effectively and not just given out to an organization that I may know or support. And that's one of the reasons I'd like to have an application process. There have been times when we have given money to organizations that have needed money, and particularly in this case, where there are so many organizations out there that some of them I know, some of them I don't know, some of them that I don't know may be doing outstanding work, and I don't want to see anybody left out of this process that can make a positive contribution to our community. That's one of the reasons I didn't come to the work session or to this council and say, well, let's give, $10,000 to this great organization. Yeah, that would be nice, and I'm not criticizing the times that we've done that because I've done that. But in an issue this important and with this many players in the game, I want us to be fair, and I want us to make sure that that money is well spent. And by the way, I in no way mean to diminish the hard work that's done in this community to fight gun violence. There are lots of people who have been at this for a very long time. It is a tough challenge. It is something that we have to fight. All I want to do is add one more layer to that to help these small organizations that are out there in this fight, particularly right now with us in COVID, which is adding a special level of stress to our communities.
Okay, hearing any further comments?
No.
Hearing the comments that were made, I'd like to give you an opportunity to either change or retract your motion, or do you want us to go to vote?
Could I move that we bring this up at our next council session and put it on the agenda?
You can move anything you want, sir.
I move that we do that. That will give everyone a due chance to think about it, so it's not a rushed decision.
Is there a second? Second. And I take that as a substitute motion. Am I okay with it? All those in favor? Yep. Hold on, discussion, go ahead.
All right, and so you say you want us to bring it back to our meeting. What information are you going to get to clerks, our city manager, so that before our meeting, we have an opportunity to look at what it is that you're proposing?
I will get with the city manager, and I will see what she has in mind for a program to see what would be effective, to flesh out some of this proposal, to give you some of an idea of what that would look like. And keep in mind, I am not a city manager. I am not a specialist at programs, which is why I had requested that the city manager create this program rather than having me try to create it. But I will be glad to give you a chance to think about it for a month. I do not want to put anybody on the spot here and force a vote that could be misinterpreted.
I don't think we have to think about it. We've been thinking about it for years.
Okay.
It hasn't been something that we have to think about. It's something the city has been actively doing now for years, and maybe you're not aware of some of the things that the city has done or we have in place. And so I think it may be helpful to have an information session on what we're already doing and then what could go forward from there.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have a work session. As I've said, we
That's what I'm asking.
we have been working for a while on a comprehensive approach for the very reason that dollars has come in that we don't want to piecemeal in this program and that program, so we want an assessment, see where the needs are, see where the holes in the community are. How are we going to determine whether or not what the funding that we're giving out there is successful, what the groups are out there, who's doing what work, how do we avoid duplication of work. We've been working on that for a substantial period of time. And in terms of the ARPA funds, we have brought back to you proposals of how we propose spending those for the last several months. So it's not that we haven't been working on ARPA. And I don't know that I was going to necessarily, on any particular issue, recommend that you have another program where you are just giving out dollars. We did that during the CARES Act. Mm-hmm. We gave out millions of dollars. You approved millions of dollars to go to businesses, to citizens, relief in a number of ways. We know how to do that. I don't know that ARPA dollars, I would have suggested yet that that's the way to go to be the most impactful in some of the major issues. Because as has been stated, these are one-time dollars. And you can prop up an organization, but then if they can't continue, we have to make sure some of the sustainability is there, that we're not just giving dollars for folks that have asked. There's a number of things that we've been looking at for an extended period of time, but I do think there are some things that we can do with the state dollars, with ARPA dollars, when we had the presentation from the police chief, we talked about matching the state dollars, because that gives us a little more flexibility. A lot of these programs come with a lot of restrictions on how that you can spend them. So we're trying to figure out how the best way to do that. But the plan was to come back to you at your first meeting in January again with more discussion on ARPA dollars as well as the CIP. We'd be happy to do that.
I'm hoping we can do this at a work session, because this is taking up a lot of time for us to have a conversation and still have questions that we have to ask. And that's the purpose of our work sessions, to work through some of the details, to get questions, and then if we have additional questions. But I appreciate you bringing it up, but at the same time, I think with us where we are right now, to try to make a decision about something, I think that puts us at a bad disadvantage.
Okay, so still have to deal with the motion. Your motion, as I understood it, was to bring this up at the next meeting for discussion.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
Is there
Work session.
at a work session?
Sure.
Say again? It was seconded. Okay. Any further discussion? And that is at a work session.
Work session.
Work session.
At our next work sessions, to bring this up for discussion. Okay. That was the substitute motion. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
Four.
Councilman Jenkins.
4?
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
4.
Councilwoman Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury.
4.
Vice Mayor Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
But, and if I could add to that, we have been working on a process to give an update on what we're trying to do to secure some funds that have already been set aside by the governor, that our delegation has been working on, that Vice Manager Allen has been working on a process to secure these funds with a targeted approach, along with the chief, on what we're going to do in the community. So we might need an updated status on that.
Yes.
Before we...
Yes, that will be a part of it. I think that will help you in your discussion, so you can see what we're doing and maybe where some things are you'd like us to move forward with more quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is that all, Mr. Jenkins?
That's all.
Councilwoman Scott.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to try to be brief, but I have a lot to share tonight. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our lively conversations of transparency and open government. We do appreciate you tuning in and being present. I just want to mention that we attended a reception for the late Honorable Sherwood Holt on Saturday at the Virginia Living Museum, and it was just great to be a part of that program, because she had done a lot of things that I didn't know about, but I do remember when I became a councilwoman, since I stood on her shoulders, I think she was the one from the north, who I was the second from the north. She did talk to me about my responsibilities, so that's the one thing I did remember about her. But she had done so much, and her role she played in the co-founder, I believe, of the Living Museum Board and all these kinds of things. It was just so exciting to be there with some of my other colleagues. Also, I'm glad that it was some mention of moving electrical wires or whatever we need Dominion to do for the multimodal station. Madam Manager, if you would, I've been getting some questions from the North District citizens as to when we're going to have some movement there and when it's going to be completed. So if you would give us an update on that at your convenience, so that we'll be able to share that back with the citizens in the North District. And now for the excitement. We are only days away from the 20th anniversary of the One City Celebrations Holiday Food Drive, and as you all can see, I have my red hat on and I am pumped. We have been having a fantastic time engaging the community and getting contributions, and we've been shopping for food. If you go to the community center, you will see the heart of what is going to be going on December 20th, which is our distribution day. But I will be remiss if I didn't take a moment to recognize some of the sponsors who actually put some wind beneath our wings in the early part of the process, and some of those include our Congressman Bobby Scott, who has been a big supporter over the years, but this time I had him put his money where his mouth was. And Dominion Energy, VLH Transportation, my list slipped away from me. Mayor Price, thank you for your participation as well. And the St. Constantine, and we look more from you on Saturday, so don't forget, you're not off the hook yet. The St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church. And there are so many others who contributed, but they asked me, please, Councilwoman, don't mention my name. I didn't do it for any recognition. So those of you, you know who you are. And I had said anybody who donates sponsorship of a certain amount of money or collect the food, that they will be mentioned. And they said, no, please. But I have to mention this one person. They probably do want to be mentioned. And that's Centera Healthcare. The Director of Diversity and Equity, Ms. Iris Lundy, I was telling her about the bicycles, and we had planned to do 100 bicycles this year, but the price of bicycles, I don't know if you all have looked, is astronomical. It's nothing like it used to be. So my donor, who normally has donated these bicycles for the last 18 years, it was a $3,000 sponsorship. So she paid for the additional 70 bicycles. So it will be 100 kids in the city of Newport News who would get a bicycle with the One City Celebrations Holiday Food Drive. So now that is real excitement. And we have 82 of them already ready to go. I'm looking for 12 more, and so I have to continue shopping. So I just wanted to mention Centera and Miss Lundy for her participation. But more importantly, I have to mention some of our locals who participated. Craig's Barbershop, who has participated. I don't know how he get all this food in his barbershop, but he has done a tremendous job of collecting for us every year. Chihuahua's Mexican Grill did a fundraiser where whoever had dinner, they contributed part of the proceeds to us. And they also collected, we probably got 3 or 4 barrels from them. And the Demi Community Center has been our drop site, so people have been coming by every day dropping off. Today it was some group called themselves the Historic Society. I have no idea who they are, but thank you. I was there when those donations came in, and we're just so excited to have all who participate. So as I have been telling you all forever and ever, this is a perfect time for you to clean out your cabinets and bring us your food, and then you go shopping again. It's always fun to shop, yes. So on a serious note, the food drive starts on Wednesday, tomorrow, with a spay and neuter clinic at 8 o'clock. It's limited participation in that. They only bring X amount of clinics, so you have to be there at 8 o'clock, and they have a cutoff. So you have to bring 10 vegan food items to have service for your pet. So don't come with any kind of meat. They won't take it. And it's first come, first serve. And the most important part of this event, I know you all hear me talk about the food, but the most important part is the job fair on Thursday. From 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. It is supported by Virginia Employment Commission, Virginia Career Works, Lisa Taylor, and her team has done a tremendous job. I'm not going to try to call names because I'm going to leave out somebody. The Workforce Development and the Veteran Services, they all come as a group, and there are 80 vendors already registered to be at this job fair on Thursday. So if you all are looking for employment, you know anybody who's looking for employment, please direct them to the Denby Community Center on Thursday at 10 a.m. And then on Saturday, we do our big food drive party, and thanks to Parks and Recreation in the city of Newport News sponsoring some of our activities this year. There will be a day of activities for the youth. Bring your kids. They have rented a 70-foot maze. I think they said 70 feet. It's a maze, the bouncy house, something you crawl through. I did it one time. You all should try it. I had to get somebody to help me out. But anyways, it's a huge piece of equipment, and they have the stand-up checkers and games that you can stand up and play cornhole. So usually the party is mostly geared toward adults, but this year's for kids. So bring your kids, give them a non-perishable food item to enter the party, and in return, we will give them a swag bag. We have gifts for the kids. We have back-to-school supplies for the kids that attend on Saturday, and some other swag, for the adults who attend as well. And then on Monday is our big distribution day, December 20th, at 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 7 p.m. You can register online on my website, www.sharonp.org. That's www.sharonpscott.org. Also, I spoke with
one of manager's assistants today, David, and he said that there will also be a poster posted at the community center where you can go up and take your phone and you can register right there at the community center. We will be doing a similar thing on Monday, so if you have not pre-registered, don't let that deter you. Please come, and we will be able to serve you as well. And I just have to give a special shout out to a couple of people because we drive up to the community center, and this time of year, my car doubles as a truck. So we drive up, and usually the car is full, and Diane Garrison, I have to mention her, and the rest of the One City Celebrations Committee, who has worked really hard to make this 20th anniversary memorable. And Mr. Philip Hunter is one of the ones at the community center who's always there to unload our vehicles, to take all of the food and put it where it needs to be. The room is full. I never put stuff on the floor. We had no choice because there are a lot of activities going on at the community center. But the room is full, and we are having growing pains. But on Thursday after the job fair, we will start our grocery store inside the gym. So we are just pumped up and excited about this. So I'm encouraging my colleagues here on the podium. I'm going to ask you all in public, so y'all can't say I didn't invite y'all. I'm asking you all individually and collectively to join us this weekend on Saturday or Monday, whatever your schedule permits, and just come out so you can meet the community as well. And Mr. Mayor, I'm going to look so that you won't say anything else, and I start again, so just give me 1 second here. Let me look at my notes. I think that is pretty. Oh, I have one other thing. I would be remiss if I did not let everybody know that everybody loves Newport News, including the council members from Hampton. So I just want to welcome Councilman Chris Bowman, who's with us tonight on the front row. So thank you for coming to the best city, and don't forget to get some gas on your way back to Hampton. And we appreciate you being here and being a part of our discussion. So
Well, he has to pay his toll just like Mayor Tuck.
Oh, he does?
You owe me the toll.
Okay, I'll let you collect that, Councilwoman Vick. But I just wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, since we will not reconvene for another meeting. That's all I have today for real, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the time.
I just want to say happy holidays to all of the citizens, happy holidays to all of the staff who have worked so hard to help make this city look so beautiful. Friday night, last Saturday, we lit the tree in City Center. There were so many people out there. The place was beautiful, the decorations, the people had so much fun, and not to mention the free hot chocolate line that did not stop the entire night. And so we know that's a hit, so we'll probably be doing that next year. But for Friday night at Brooks Crossing, Saturday night, was it? Friday night. At Brooks Crossing, the trees and everything looked beautiful. We had this mysterious Santa Claus who came riding through on the fire truck. He wouldn't get out, so I couldn't really see who he was. But I heard it was David. So, but all the kids, the looks on the kids' faces, they were having so much fun. And you want to talk about some crime prevention. That is an event that those kids were out doing something productive. They really enjoyed that area where you have the headphones on. I think that says it's silent dancing or something like that. And so that place was full, the treats. So I just want to thank all of the staff and for all your hard work that you have done to help us celebrate these happy holidays with the citizens of Newport News. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Woodbury.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to tell you all how much I appreciate your coming down here, watching us on TV, and allowing us to serve you in the city. It is a real honor. And I also want to mention that the passing of Woodrow Brown, which I understand happened last week or so, who was the first black person to be elected to this body. I had not known that. He was a pastor, and I just wanted to make sure that he got some recognition, because that was a very special thing. And I also want to wish you all Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever your mode of worshiping is at this at this part of the year. And I also just thank you all for being so kind to the people in your community, because I really think that's special and we can all learn from it. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Cherry.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone. Thank you for those who are watching as well as those who are gathered with us tonight. I'd also like to give condolences to the Brown family and the pastor, Pastor Woodrow Brown. He was a dear friend. He was dear to my family, the church, and the community, and also to the citizens of Newport News as he served on City Council. Just a few announcements. I'd like to say there have been many great events that have been happening in the city since our last meeting, all of which have shown that there are great things happening in the city of Newport News, throughout the city, from the north to the south. And without naming them all, I just want to thank each community organization, each faith community, especially our Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, Shelley's Honor, and the staff. Mike Papalassi, thank you so much for the beautiful, beautiful decorations at City Center, Denby Community Center, and at Brooks Crossing. So thank you to everyone for all of the activities that have helped to uplift the city of Newport News, as our mayor often says to us. Just a few things I'd just like to also say to you is that we will have our Christmas for the Children. The Downtown Newport News Merchants and Neighbors Association is hosting the Christmas for the Children event. We were not able to have it last year, but this year we will be at King Lincoln Park, 600 Jefferson Avenue, this Saturday. That's Saturday, December the 18th, from 1 to 3 p.m. There is no pre-registration needed, but registration will start on site on this Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. All adults must be accompanied with a child or children, and children must be accompanied with adults as well. But we will start promptly with a toy giveaway at 1 p.m., and Santa will be there as well. We ask that everyone that's coming to please wrap up warmly, wear a face mask if you would like to be there with the children as well. So I just want to say thank you to that. To those who have given toys, we have several sponsors, but we want to say thank you to the churches and to the corporations and individuals who have already given us great donations. We went shopping for toys yesterday, and the lady at 5 and Below said, please come back. You know, what is that? Please come back again. But we had lots and lots of toys, and we try to prepare for more than 650-plus children in our community. And normally we have a great turnout. So I invite you that if you know someone that has children, please let them know about the Christmas for the Children event on Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. at King Lincoln Park. One of the most exciting things for me is that we will have the grand reopening of the James A. Fields House on January the 1st, Saturday, January the 1st, 2022 at 1 p.m. This is very significant because my husband was born, the first baby born in the city of Newport News, January the 1st, 1955. So we're excited to be able to open the house on his birthday. It is a tradition for us. We used to have, when he was with us, we used to always open the house for open house on that day and have so much fun just talking about history and also celebrating the last day of Kwanzaa as well. So if you're available on Saturday, January the 1st at 1 o'clock p.m., we will have the ribbon cutting for the grand reopening. If you are coming and want the tour of the house, we ask you to please wear a face mask if you want to tour the house on that day. Thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, I say happy holidays, everybody, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a few things I wanted to close with also. I want to, our condolences to Florence, who lost George, and George was a good man and part of the Newport News family, and has done some great things for this city, and we're truly going to miss him. You know, as has been stated, we've lost 2 council members within the last 2 weeks. Of course, Mary Sherwood Holt and my neighbor and friend also, Pastor Woodrow Brown. When I moved to Shore Drive, his father lived right next door, and he would always come over and we'd have a good time. So we're going to miss him. If you didn't read the article on his history, it's very interesting what he went through and the way it changed his life. We had fun with Shaggy, Z104, with Stuff the Bus. He usually comes every year, and we've been supporting that for years, and he's always appreciative of us stopping by and talking with him. It was also great to see so many people at City Center for the Celebrate festivities. If you haven't seen the lights, haven't had an opportunity to go by, please do so. From 5 to 9, every hour, I think the show goes on, so it is really worth seeing. We want to also congratulate the Carter family for groundbreaking at the Carter Funeral Home at 39th and Marshall Avenue. We're looking forward to how that's going to add and his continued contributions to our community. Also, just closing on, as we gather with friends and family, let us still be conscious of coronavirus and all of its many transitions. Omicron now is out here and is very aggressive. So please, if you haven't gotten your shots or your boosters, it's recommended. You're not fully vaccinated at this point until you also have your boosters. So I just want to wish everybody a good holiday season. Stay safe, care for one another, be thankful. I appreciate the month that we did with the gratitude. We got lots of comments on that. And people were very reflective. They came up to me and talked about, you're right, there are things we need to be grateful for, and not always wanting things to be something else other than what they are. So with that, if there's no further business, may what you say and do uplift the city of Newport News. We stand adjourned.